Raheem Sterling's only 27.
I know.
He's been playing about 40 years, hasn't he?
He's been around seemingly a very long time. So I think it would be a fantastic signing for Chelsea, and I can probably understand a lot of City fans out there will be thinking, why are we getting rid? It's great that we bought Haaland and add into our firepower, but why are we going to get rid of Raheem? Particularly if Gabi Jesus is going to go as well. If that's done, then all of a sudden, then that changes the landscape significantly up at City. But I think for Chelsea, and I totally agree with Danny in that little clip there, is he better than anything else they've got? Yes, he is. He's absolutely better.
Jamie O'Hara said it's a backwards move or backward step. He's going to be playing the same amount of game time, which I'm not too sure if that's the case, but he'll win less trophies.
Well, there's every chance he'll come up, let's be honest, a little bit shorter on the back of where we are on what we've just seen in terms of trophies, yeah. But I think game time, if that move did happen. And it's interesting we were talking earlier, weren't we? We were talking with Joe in the meeting earlier about the big clubs selling to each other now. Because these players, their salaries are so extortionate, the numbers are so incredible that pretty much, apart from Real Madrid and Bayern and maybe one or two others out there, most teams can't afford any of the boys operating at our clubs. So perhaps we're going to start to see a period where there are more trades done between our very top teams with players. But I think for Chelsea, I think he would be an excellent signing. I know and you say he divides opinion. What is it that...
I think a lot of people think that when he has a chance one-on-one with the goalkeeper, more often than not, he's not hitting the target. I mean, his goal record would suggest I'm wrong. 131 goals in 339 games for City. So basically 1 in 3. Yeah, 1 in 3. Look, and he's not down the middle. He's off one side, mainly. But you're right. He's not, and never has been, never will be, by the way, I don't think the most accomplished goal scorer. He's just not. His feet have always been a bit scruffy at times in terms of the way that he goes about his finishing. But his pace, his work rate. Let me ask you 2 questions, right? Yeah. Does he make Chelsea stronger?
Yes, he does.
Does he make Man City weaker if he goes?
I think City can cope without Raheem Sterling.
Is the answer no?
I do honestly feel that City, with Haaland coming in and what they have, I still think City have got more than enough to cope. But who knows? With injuries and everything else, you want as many as you can. I think Raheem's got to a point in his career where he don't want to sit and watch anymore, wants to play every week, feels like he should be playing probably a little bit more than not in some of those very big games. And has Pep moved on from him a little bit? Is he now starting to think about using others in some of those positions a little more regular? Maybe. Who knows? But I think that he's developed into an outstanding player, and I think for Chelsea he makes them far more of a threat.
Who do you think will miss out for Chelsea then? Is it Werner that probably will make way?
Probably. I mean,
depending on where you play.
Sterling could play out the middle for Chelsea, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He could, because he can go everywhere really. He can play anywhere up alongside those guys, with Havertz, with whether it's Pulisic, whoever it is. He can go up there and play with those. That's not a problem to him. I don't think where Raheem would be asked to play for Chelsea would be a consideration for him. I think he'd want to know. I mean, Chelsea have got to do a little bit of work at the back, and this summer. Losing Rudiger is huge, enormous. Well. Christensen, I think he can go and he doesn't weaken them either. I think losing Christensen is not a problem. But Rudiger's massive. So I think they need to strengthen at the back, Chelsea. But if they get Sterling in up top, that definitely makes them more of a threat in the last third.
We're talking of anything between 60 million is supposedly what City want, and Chelsea are prepared to pay 30 or 35 for a 27-year-old with just 1 year left on his deal. So it's going to be there or thereabouts, right? You'd expect them to meet in the middle. Let's say for supposition £40 million, right?
I think he's for 27. Don't think that's cheap.
With a year left. I don't know with a year left. But the question I was going to ask was, when you're one of the big hitters, as Chelsea clearly are, as a fan, you always expect a big name to come in at the summer. Would he satisfy the Chelsea players if he was the big one?
I think he should.
The Chelsea fans, sorry.
Yeah, I think he should. I think you've got someone who knows how to win. You've got someone at the peak of his powers. There's no sign of any deterioration in Raheem's game, not visibly to me. It's just whether or not Guardiola's moving on a little bit. Look, it happens. Managers do all of a sudden start to think about playing others and start to think about doing things slightly differently. It's the nature of what they do. We've seen it now with Liverpool. Sadio Mane moving on at 31. You can justify that a little more. But for Raheem at 27, I think Chelsea are getting a hell of a player. I really do.
If you were his agent, and he knocked on your door or phoned you up this morning and said, "What shall I do? Shall I stay at City and fight for my place, and possibly win the Champions League, but certainly have every chance of winning the Premier League, or move to Chelsea?"
I don't think it would be a bad thing now for Raheem to have a change.
Your advice would be to move?
I don't think that's a bad thing for him at all, to move, particularly to a club like Chelsea. It's always an added bonus, I think, to come and play for a London club. Just think it is, living in London and being around London for top players. They would prefer that, of course. He's shown at City that he can operate at the very top.
Okay.
And I think Chelsea, if they could get that done at 40 million quid, they should bite City's hand off.
Okay. 03717223334. Let's quickly take one call on it, and then on the back of the break, we'll take loads more. Simon is a City fan. Hello, Simon.
How you doing, chaps? All right?
We're great. How are you? You all right? Happy Monday to you?
Happy Monday to yourself, too. Can I just say before we go any further, Andy, did you get a reply off Yap Stam about his birthday the other day?
Can I ask what?
Did I get a reply from Yap Stam when we suggested it was his birthday?
Yes, fantastic. It wasn't his birthday for another month, is it?
No, I know. He basically said he wants 2 presents now, one for last week and one for the middle of July when it is.
Who gave you the information, being a staunch United fan like that?
I can't throw producer Joe under a bus. What, are you mad?
Why not? I was listening to Cashwell's show on Friday night, and they threw their producer under the bus because they obviously got information off you, didn't they?
Right, okay, well, listen.
I phoned him up and stuck up for him with it.
Let's do that now. Who was it? Was it you, producer Joe? It was producer Joe that got it wrong.
I'm not sure if it was Joe. Whoever was producer Catchwell and Talk.
Sorry, how many people do you want me to get fired? Oh, hold on. Our producer does that show as well.
Well, I stuck up for him. I was thinking you out a bit. But anyway, let's get back to Raheem, yeah?
Okay, Simon. Go on then.
I'd happily take 40 million. I think we paid 42 million, didn't we? The Sky said say 48.
I think 50, wasn't it?
At the time, the world said we'd ruined football and got ripped off, had his pants down and bought a dud, didn't he? That's what they all said, you included.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd gladly take 50 for him and say thank you, go and enjoy the rest of your career doing what you're doing. We've got that Argentinian Alvarez, who looks like a right player.
He does,
and we've
that's
got the
true.
world's best player for the next 10 years, haven't we? Haaland. So, yeah, if he wants to go, like he says he wants to go, thank you, Raheem.
Simon, let me ask you, I said to Andy Townsend before that he divides opinion. Where do you sit on whether or not he's a great player or he's overrated?
He's a great player. He came as an average player. He's turned into a great player. I think there's times he could have done better. If he, when he gets the wrong goal, instinct, he'll score. If he thinks about it, he'll miss. A bit like Anelka used to be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. The question as well, Simon, is whether or not, aren't there others that you might see maybe push through the exit door, if you like, to raise money, or if the club feel like they want to change things up a little bit? Are there others you'd rather see go before him?
No, not really, because I don't think we push players through the door. Players don't want to go. If they don't want to, this thing about the falling out of Pep, and I think that's a load of doodad, you know what I mean? I think he wants to play more games in that team. You're not going to play every game at season, are you? Everybody knows that. The player that I don't want to go, but I think he's going to have to go, is Jesus Cabral.
I think thanks for your call, Simon. I think Arsenal sniffing about that.
Again,
that
a player,
seems to be
a player that whenever he's asked to play in a wide position, there's been a few times when I've turned up and they've said, and you look at the team sheet because you're never quite sure exactly where they're all going to go, and someone says, oh, Jesus is going to go wide down the right, and he always throws himself at it 100%, but probably would want to start to operate as a centre forward. And so I get it for someone like Gabby Jesus. I get it for Raheem. It's a big moment in his career, this one, because these are the strongest years that he's going to have.
Let me ask you this. Who do you think will be a bigger loss to City, Mahrez or Sterling?
That's a good question. Mahrez has played very well at times.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Let me rephrase the question. You've got half an hour to go in a cup final.
Yeah.
They're both on the bench. Which one are you bringing on?
Well, I bet if they're both on the bench, I bet you the one that would come on would be Sterling.
Which one would you bring on?
I personally think that Raheem, over course and distance, might give you just a little bit more in terms of all round everything. And again, that's not to Mahrez is an incredible talent, but I think if you was saying one of them two's got to go, it'd be Sterling. It'd be Mahrez for me.